The first step of the listening section, which is what we're going to do today, has to do with the negative challenges, problems, and frictions you may be having around the issue of the transition. So let's begin with your first task. In your workshop materials task, you will find a worksheet that looks a little bit like this. It is basically a matrix made of 2 columns. For this first task, we are going to focus on the column on the left. The column on the left is designed to help you extract and write down all the problems, challenges, or frictions you may be having around this transition topic. For example, let's say your company is moving to a different office space, a new office space. This is the place where you can think about what is not working currently in your current office space, but also what fears you may have about the new office space, what concerns you may have, what worries you may have about the current workspace as well as the new workspace. This is the place to be able to map all of this. Now, what you will see on your worksheet is that this left column is actually divided into 2 parts. You have a bottom part and you have a top part. The bottom part is designed to capture the frictions and challenges and issues you may have around the thing itself. In the example of moving to a new office space, for example, this is the place to put all the challenges and frictions and worries you have about the space itself. For example, you're talking about the fact that you're working in an open plan, for example. In that case, one of the issues you may have, or frictions or challenges, is the level of noise in the space. So the place to put those are here. This is about the thing itself. This area here is designed to help you capture the challenges and frictions and worries you may have, not about the thing itself per se, but about the behavior that that thing is encouraging. This is then for the behavior issues. Let's go back to our example of moving to a new office space. One of your challenges relating to behavior could be the fact that in your current office space, people are really loud, so you're having problem concentrating. And it could also be the fact that you know you're going to an open plan office space, and in that you are worried that because people might be too loud or because the space is open, you will not be able to focus. Those are the kind of issues we are looking for here. So this is the column we're going to focus on. So I'm going to give you a few minutes now, and on your worksheets individually, you're going to map up all of those issues that you may be having. This is now your time to get those complaints out, to get those challenges out, and to get those frictions out. Remember, use this model to help you split between what the thing is itself and what the behavior that the thing encourages is as well. Take a few minutes now. Remember, I would like to encourage you to make a difference between the challenges you have around the thing itself. So in the example I gave you, it's the actual space, or the challenges you have when it comes to the behavior that that space is encouraging. Take a few minutes to do that exercise now. Welcome back. You have taken a few minutes to individually write down the challenges, frictions, and problems you may be having around the topic of the transition. And hopefully you have also split the issues between issues that have to do with the thing itself, for example, the space or the app or the program you are introducing, and issues that have to do with the behavior that that thing is encouraging. What I'd like to ask you to do now is turn to your neighbor, and in groups of 2, please share what you have written in the left column of your worksheet. Of course, if you are an uneven number of people in the room, one group can be 3, but otherwise keep it to groups of 2. What we would like to do is take turns between you and your neighbor and share to each other what you have captured in the left column of your worksheet. Please do that now. Great. So you have now shared with your neighbor the capture that you have on the left column in your worksheet. Hopefully you have remembered to switch and to hear from each other as well. What we're going to do now is a collective share. A collective share is where, as opposed to individually or in groups of 2 by 2, we're going to share with the entire group in the room the main things that came up in this first exercise. So I'm going to ask 3 of you to come forward and share the main things that you have captured in the left column of your worksheet. Please take a few minutes and do that now. Wonderful. You have now completed step 1 of today's training. Step 1 of today's training was to capture in the left column of your worksheet all the problems, challenges, and frictions you may have about the thing itself, the topic of the transition, the thing itself, but also the behavior that that thing may encourage or is already encouraging in the current situation. We are now going to go into step 2 of today's session, and step 2 of today's session has to do with the positive flip side of what we have just done. So we're talking here about the challenges, the dreams, and the ideas you have about this transition. Again, we're talking about those dreams and ideas at 2 levels. The bottom level of the sheet is designed to capture the dreams, ideas, and wishes you may have about the thing itself. In the example I gave you earlier, that thing, for example, would be the actual office space that you'll be moving into. Of course, in this column, we're talking about future situation. So we're not talking about your current space anymore, which was the case in the negative column, but we're talking about the future space. So any wishes, dreams, and ideas that you may have about the thing itself go at the bottom of the right column on your worksheet. At the top of the right column on your worksheet, the space is dedicated to dreams, wishes, and ideas you may have around the behavior that you would like to have, around how people would interact with each other, how you would interact with your colleagues. So those are wishes, dreams, and ideas that are not necessarily linked to the space itself in the example I gave you about the space, but are linked to the behavior that you wish that that space will encourage, or the behavior that you wish simply you and your colleagues could adopt in the future. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to ask you to take a few minutes and individually capture in the right column of your worksheet the wishes, dreams, and ideas you have, again, about the thing itself as well as the behavior that the thing may encourage. Please do that now. Welcome back. You've now individually filled the left column on your worksheet, which is capturing your dreams, your wishes, and your ideas for the thing itself and the behavior as well. What we're going to do now is similar to what we just did in step 1. I'm going to ask you to turn to your neighbor and in groups of 2, share to each other what you have captured in that column. Remember to switch and give each other time to both share what you have. Please do that now. Great. Now we're going to give each other in the room a sense of what we have captured. So we're going to do another collective share. In this collective share, I'm going to ask 3 people to come forward and share with the rest of the group the main insightful ideas that came out of the right column of the worksheet. I would encourage you to have 3 different people than the ones that shared in the first task of today. Please do that now. Congratulations! You have now completed step 2 of today's training. What you have now on your worksheet in front of you is 2 columns capturing on one side the challenges, frictions, fears, and problems you may have about the current situation, as well as worries you may have about the future situation that will happen after the transition. On the right-hand side of your worksheet, you now have all your dreams, ideas, and wishes about the situation after the transition. What we have also done is we have captured those fears on the left as well as dreams on the right in 2 sections, some that have to do more with the thing itself, the program, the procedure, or in the example I have been guiding you through, the space itself, and the top part has to do with people's behavior, what we do with it, and the behavior that may come from the thing itself. What we are now going to do is go into step 3 of today's training. Step 3 is very, very important. Step 3 has to do with prioritization. So what we're going to do now is you're going to take the next worksheet that you have prepared for today, and in this worksheet, we're going to look at how do we prioritize all of our challenges and problems as well as all of our dreams and wishes. Step 3 is very important because step 3 will allow us to take a step back, look at all the capture we have on both sides of the worksheet, and actually prioritize what each of you would like in your current situation. So if you now grab the second worksheet for today's training, it should have a pyramid on it that pretty much looks like this. This first pyramid is what we're going to use to prioritize the problems, challenges, and frictions we have captured in the left side of your worksheet. What we are now going to do is take a step back, look at the capture list that you have on the left side of your worksheet, and individually prioritize all of those issues on this pyramid of the second worksheet. The prioritization is going to go along 3 clusters. So we're going to put all of these issues in 3 groups. The first group is what we call urgencies. This is for issues and problems that you think need to be addressed immediately and urgently. This is going to go at the bottom of your pyramid. This is going to be for the urgent issues. Next group is going to be for the problems and challenges that would be good to solve. This is what we're going to call the good to solve group. And the last part of this prioritization is going to be for the issues that you would like to have solved, the nice to solve issues. So we're going to take a few minutes now, and individually, please look at your list and prioritize all of those capture items into these 3 groups, which are the urgent to solve, the good to solve, and the nice to solve. Please do that now. Great. You have now prioritized the challenges and problems, which was the left side of your worksheet on the first pyramid here, into your urgent problems, your good to solve problems, and your nice to solve. What we're going to do now is the same logic applied on the right side of your worksheet. We're going to use the second pyramid you have in front of you to categorize your dreams, wishes, and ideas into 3 groups. So we're going to use the second pyramid here, and the 3 groups we are dealing with here are the must-haves, the good to have, and the nice to have. So please take a few minutes now and individually look at the capture lists you have on the right side of your first worksheet and categorize those into those 3 groups on this pyramid here. Please take a few minutes and do that now. Great. You now have in front of you 2 pyramids that captures on one side the challenges in 3 groups, so in the correct priorities for yourself, and on the other side, the wishes and positive ideas, again categorized and prioritized in 3 groups. What we are going to do now is share in groups of 2 what you have captured. So please turn to your neighbor and share with them what have you placed in your pyramids and how have you prioritized your problems and your wishes, your challenges and your dreams. Please do that now. Welcome back. Again, have you remembered to switch and allow each other to share? I hope so. If you haven't done that, please pause me now and go ahead and do that. Great. We are now going to do our next step of sharing, which is the collective share. By now you know, I'm going to ask 3 of you to come forward and share with the rest of the group a couple of your urgencies and a couple of your musts. A couple of the urgent problems that need to be solved and a couple of your must wishes and dreams that you would really like to have. The idea here is simply to share with each other what you have decided your prioritizations are. Again, as before, I'm going to ask 3 different people to come forward and share so you get a sense of what's going on in the room collectively. Please go ahead and do that now. Wonderful. You have now completed the first module of this training. Well done, everybody. What we have done today is the first of 4 steps of this training. We did the first step called listening. In this session, we have done 3 things. You have first expressed any challenges, frictions, or worries you have about the situation now, as well as the situation in the future of the transition. The second step we have done is turn that around, and instead of problems and challenges, we have looked at dreams, wishes, and ideas you have about the future after the transition. And as a last step, we have prioritized our challenges and issues to be solved, as well as our dreams and ideas into 3 categories, going from the most urgent or the most must-have to the good to solve, good to have, and the nice to solve and nice to have. Again, congratulations on this first session. Before you go, I'm going to ask you to do one last thing. What I would like to ask you to do now is, again, turn to your neighbor and share with them the one thing that you found insightful, inspiring, maybe surprising from this session today. Maybe it's one thing you realized yourself today. Maybe it's one thing you heard from one of the other participants around you. So turn to your neighbor now and share with them the one takeaway that you're going to take with you after this session is over today. I'll give you a few minutes to do that now. Wonderful. Let's now conclude today's session. Today's session was listening. It was the first of 4 modules. The next sessions we are going to go through are sessions called aligning, activating, and adapting. The next module, which is module 2, will deal with the next steps, which are aligning and activating. I will see you next time.